So I'm excited to see those.
Yeah, it's just been, game after game, and we just, as we get started here, but we're just coming off one here on Speed Gaming just a little while ago that ended with about a minute between the runners. So, hey, and a first chest power glove. Wow.
Okay, so that power glove is really interesting because it means if they're paying attention, they don't actually need to farm bombs in the escape since they'll have access to push the gravestone once they come out, so it's not as much of a priority.
Yeah, so don't waste more than a couple seconds, basically, is what you're saying.
It's really easy to forget to that detail, though. So we'll see if they do end up trying to get a bomb drop or not.
Yeah. Well, how about we just get bombs?
Okay, never mind.
I guess at least you have the option to use them all.
Yeah, it can be like with the bomb start, it can be scary if you start running low on bombs and you worry about maybe not having enough for that key rat or not having enough for the wall after. I mean, you do have the option to save and quit at certain points to get your uncle weapon ammo back. In this case, bombs. You get 3 of them.
Yeah, not much, but certainly better than nothing and can keep you going.
So bomb starts are interesting because they show really who's practiced the strats and who hasn't.
That's true. Because it's not something you just want to try to wing. You definitely want to have a strategy with these. And you can see Walter does. He's put together a nice one. Smight having a little trouble here. Oh, I'm just getting...
Oh, Smight down to 1 heart. That's scary. He can't really kamikaze the bombs anymore.
No, he can't. He is going to be able to pick up this pot that Walter just has, so get back to 2, but it's not a comfortable position to be in, that's for sure. Yeah, I feel, like practicing the bomb start is actually pretty worthwhile use of your time if you're trying to improve at rando.
I still haven't practiced it because I'm really lazy. It shows in the matches that I've done. It really does.
Walter, again, really nice setup there. Gets it done. Smight down to 1 heart going into the blue guard room. This is going to be nervy. And yeah, he's taking it very conservatively. And a nice strat here, getting the guard stuck between the statues. Yeah, good job. I mean, survival's more important than time at this point.
Yeah, for sure. If you die, it's like a minute or 2 setback already. It doesn't feel good at the start of the race.
No.
Of course, there's like plenty of opportunities to make it up throughout. There's going to be a lot of elements later on, decisions to be made, plays to be made, but
definitely. But you're right. It's that psychological impact that is probably the biggest factor there.
So Walter cleaning up ball and chain guard with 2 pots. Smight doing the same behind him.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably the better strat.
It's more or less. It's like more or less required, I guess, because it takes 4 bombs to kill that guard. You don't want to spend that amount.
And yeah, it will be interesting. Even though we didn't have a death, Smight still probably going to feel behind immediately. And you do wonder if that's going to give him some kind of incentive to maybe make, a little bit wilder plays. Maybe nothing completely, crazy with this kind of a thing. But I mean, he has knowledge that he's likely behind, even if just by a little while, right from the start.
I don't think I would make too many decisions based on this. Like, nothing major's really happened to him so far.
Yeah.
It's just like maybe 30 seconds behind or so. Just a rough guess.
Yeah, if that.
But we found really no items in the castle so far. other than getting that power glove in Link's house.
True, just the early glove. So hard to divine too much from that as for what we're about to see. And that doesn't clarify matters at all. So Walter threw the key door at 5:10, so yeah. Yeah, maybe about 20-25 seconds ahead.
I mean, the other nice thing about Bomb Start is that you more than likely have some bombs going into Kakariko, so you don't need to worry about missing out on the bomb walls in Blind's Hut and the well.
Yeah. Always nice.
And
No
Walter
need-
getting that key rat, no issues.
Yeah, and as you put it earlier, it was a good kamikaze there to just kind of follow it around with the bomb. Oh, and Smight gets run over by the rat, so causes him to drop it.
Oh,
He's
that's
down
not
to
good. He's only
one.
down to one bomb.
Okay, he got it, just barely, but he's gonna have to come back later.
I was so fixated on him, I didn't see what was in the back of his cape.
I'm right with you there, so we'll have to rely on chat and on our eagle-eyed tracker. Say hello, everybody, to Jixon.
Alright, so nothing big, but...
But
Smight
Vanilla
is-
Sanctuary Heart, how about that?
Oh, wow, that's... What are the odds?
Yeah.
So Smight is gonna want to route that in later once he has some bombs. It'll just be on his mind. He won't find anything there.
Yeah, Walter got the benefit of the 100 extra rupees, so we're going to see a route divergence here as Walter feels comfortable just going straight into the Lost Woods, while Smite's going to check some tree poles and probably the bush crab to see if he can get any useful items. Well, and that's not bad.
Oh, that's a nice tree pull. That is
Yeah.
the tier 2 tree pull, I believe, because they've racked up at least 4 kills already in Escape.
And welcome to Bomb City from the bush crab, too.
Okay, that's pretty amazing. This is why, like, I like both of their plays here.
Agreed.
So skipping Lumberjack or checking it, I like to check it, even if I don't have boots, if short on money and bombs, because you can try and get those from the pull trees and the crab. But Walter in a more comfortable position coming out of the escape benefits from skipping that check, which we can't get the Lumberjack item without boots, so usually not too useful information for the 30-40 extra seconds it would take at this point.
Yeah. I was a little surprised he did not do the tree pole that was in front of him there in the Lost Woods, and it cost him 80 rupees. He doesn't know that. As we find the hook shot in Blind's Hut.
I would imagine he just feels really good about his rupees and bombs right now.
Yeah.
That hookshot's interesting, though. We have a hookshot and a glove right now.
Glove, yeah.
So Death Mountain play could be on the table. We don't have the lamp, any logical way to access it, but Paradox Cave to the east has 7 item checks in it.
Yeah, it is an awfully big pool to have access to this early, even if it is out of logic technically.
So I imagine we'll see them, check all of Kakariko, check South Shore, the standard checks, but maybe if they don't turn up much there, Death Mountain might be a bit more of an attractive play than, say, going to Eastern.
Sure. And we got half magic in the well, so that's pretty nice, and some expensive bombs from the bottle merchant. But some useful bombs, really.
So I see a question about the item pool for tree poles, bush crab, and the stun prize.
Oh yeah.
I believe those all come from the entire prize pack pool of drops you can get from enemies.
Yeah, I mean, aren't they? They're like they're correlated basically. Oh, here we go. 3 crystals with a pyramid crystal at Tower of Hera. So a kind crystal distribution so far.
But yeah, so like one implication of that is that there's only one fairy in all of the, I believe it's 63 total prizes. So if you find a fairy in the tree pole, or actually I'm not sure if they can be on bush crab. I don't think I've seen that. But if you find a fairy in the tree pole, you know that no enemies are going to drop a fairy.
Right. And I have found fairy on bush crab before, so that can happen. It looks silly. Because instead of chucking it, it just starts floating.
Yeah, I've actually never seen it myself. It's 1 in 63.
Yeah,
So.
it's pretty rare. All right, so Walter says no thanks to the 50 rupees over there at the race game, and he's just going to continue with the standard South Shore route, which, with the hookshot in tow, is a little faster than normal.
Yeah, he's going to be able to hookshot through the block to check the dam chest without blocking himself out of opening it in the same trip. Smight saving and quitting to Sanctuary,
Yep.
routing in that back of escape check now that he has bombs.
And unfortunately, Walter was slow on the trigger, so he wasn't able to get that glitch.
Yeah, the thing about like hookshotting through the block is when you move, and if you're inside a solid object, the game likes to snap you to the closest quarter tile in it. So he got snapped to within halfway of the block instead of right in front of the chest.
And he finds the ether medallion in there, as well as picking up a heart container, so potentially useful item. Certainly a useful one in the vanilla game.
Yeah, not going to be able to actually use it until they find a sword, which is a bit unfortunate for early game things like... I think it would be an effective way to clear Mini Moldorm Cave, but the hookshot is really good for
It's
that,
handy,
instant
yeah.
killing these things.
It certainly is. And yet, somehow it managed to dodge him twice. There he goes. Down to 2 hearts too, so if he's planning on going over to the Ice Rod Cave, he's got to be careful of those OP crabs out there. Which do 2 hearts of damage.
Yeah, they'll kill him outright at this point. He does have the hookshot, so if need be, he'll be able to stun them, which could save his life.
It could. It's just that they have that tendency to just suddenly change direction on you, as we're seeing right there. Wow.
Yeah, so like the problem with the hookshot is that if you miss and you extend it to full range, you're kind of stuck there, helpless. I mean, you can't be hit during that time, but you have really no control over when you'll be able to move again.
Right, and if, he saunters over into your hitbox while you're sitting there not moving because the hookshot is extended, there's nothing you can do.
Oh, that was close.
Another dodge. And then he nearly did what we were just talking about, but manages to get the bomb down. Whew, man. High drama here in the early game.
Yeah, a death here would be pretty bad because you really, it wouldn't... I don't think it would be worth walking all the way back to Ice Red Cave after dying, but...
You'd just treat it as if you'd checked it, wouldn't you? I mean, really, that would be the way to play it.
Yeah. But having not found too many progression items so far, there's a decent chance that there is something here. They have a lot of gaps they need to fill with their items still, which is why they're taking the time to check it now.
Exactly.
And Walter is going to Sahasra at least. We'll see if he dips Eastern Palace after that.
Yeah, that'll be the interesting bit. Maybe he'll even play it by ear depending on what he finds here. Knowing that Death Mountain isn't in logic yet.
Yeah, Eastern is just It's a risky venture at this point, not having the bow to be able to complete it.
Speaking of risky ventures.
Oh, that opens up desert, which is also not going to be quite completable without some additional items. But it looks like he is making the trip into Eastern.
Yeah, you feel like that's. I mean, of course, you're thinking, uh-oh, what if, like the one chest in desert or the ledge item is like hammer or something like that. But at the same time, you're already over here and you have no. You have no new major progression, so making the check is a call that makes sense, I think.
Yeah, it does. It's just, of course, a risk because Eastern is one of the most linear dungeons in the game, so double dipping it is a significant time sink. It's not always game changing, but it's definitely significant.
It is, and compared to earlier versions, recent versions, as we find the Cane of Samaria in there. Wow.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, compared to recent earlier versions, it's not nearly as often a play that's required, where that seemed to be, God, it was like every seed for a while sometimes. So in version 29, like we have now, the early Eastern's not the play nearly as much.
We're seeing a lot of red items in Eastern so far.
We are. It's true.
Quite interestingly making the same play to go in.
Yeah, so far, not seeing a big style divergence in the routing here between the runners, but that said, there's a strong case for the play that each of them has made,
So if we found 2 red items so far, maybe we're going to find a lamp in the third chest.
Yeah, maybe. Might also be the cape, which makes us think Aghanim. Could even be the boots. I'm sure they'd love to see that one. Well, they don't love to see that because, well, Elm, does that mean the play has to be either Agina or Desert? I think it does, at least for a logical progression.
Yeah, desert seems really likely. The book is pointing there.
Yeah.
The question is, like, what item would they find there? Like, if it's the lamp, then they may want to make the detour for it anyways, instead of skipping it, because it'll be their only fire source at this point. But it could be also something like the flippers, which could open up an entirely different item.
True.
We still don't have much in the way of Dark World access besides that glove, like no other items contributing to it.
And the map in the front, so we've got an item on Armos too that they'll have to come back for.
So Samaria in Eastern is kind of interesting. It's almost exclusively a late game progression item, so not useful for them at the moment. But I did see someone make the point that it could be their required weapon to defeat Lanvolos at this point, were they to find a fire source.
Wouldn't that be something else? Especially with half magic.
Yeah, actually, that wouldn't even be that bad.
It would certainly help. But it's still never something you want to have to do.
Okay, so Walter looks like he's making desert play. Gonna check Agina's cave first, which is a nice check since it's often it's a Sphere 1 item that's often overlooked until much, much later.
Yeah, and you can also sometimes make the argument, well, just catch Agina on your way out, because then you don't have to walk all the way back out of Agina's cave. But in this case, it feels like this is better to do before you head into desert.
Oh yeah, for sure. We need a fire source for sure for desert, and it might be here. It is here, in fact.
Here. So there you have it.
We also might need boots for the item on that torch if it's either a quiet item or a key. So
yeah,
good to check for that
Smight,
too.
Totally different idea.
Yep, so Smite's sequence breaking the Dark Room, going to go to Death Mountain. Now, for all we know, that Lamp and Agena might be the only intended progression at this point, and he will have just been within logic had he gone here first. So
Yeah, I think we're likely to see that now. Although the book being where it was is still awfully suspicious.
it'd be really interesting if Desert was not boots locked at this point, because Walter could totally beat it. So
He could, although you do feel like probably he'd want to just come back later when he's got better equipment, because that
maybe, but like we've seen before that this could actually be. Wow. All right, that is a pull for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so we now have both of the dungeons that have been dipped are on the table to be beaten at this point.
That's just crazy.
I don't know that I'd route in Eastern just yet. Like it's got one more item, but there's probably a better opportunity to grab it later in the game. Maybe.
Meanwhile, the hammer on Death Mountain.
This is opening up really fast.
It sure is. We looked like we had one place to go, and now we've got about 5. So Walter looking like he's going to head up. And he did grab the money. I thought he might even think about fake flippering, although he doesn't have the Moon Pearl yet, so he would really only be able to check Hobo and Zora.
Smight finding Bombos in Paradox Cave as well. So Walter's gonna take that lamp and follow it to Death Mountain.
Yep. He's also
Even
gonna find the hammer and then have the lamp for Hera, which might be a big deal.
Yeah, I was about to say that he's guaranteed to be able to complete Hera at this point, which is significant because the way that the long walk you have to take to get to Hera without mirror, using the hookshot and hammer instead, is it's really significant.
It's a good
if the mirror does not turn up.
Yeah, a solid minute to minute and a half, isn't it?
Yeah, so Smight has the option of jumping down to check Spiral Cave here, but he's gonna go check out Hera first and then jump down later, presumably.
Yeah, that makes some sense. Also going to have a look at the ether tablet, since he does have the book, see what's there. Oh! Well.
Oh, speaking of the mirror.
Yeah, you kind of called that one.
That's actually a really crazy place for it.
It is.
They will have to walk all the way back here. Once they have a Master Sword to be able to actually activate the tablet.
Oh, and the powder is in Spectacle Rock Cave. Well, we have a bottle on the top, so fetch quests right next to each other in Kakariko Village. Smight, I thought, was going to take a death, and it looks like, yeah, now he is going to.
We don't know when that mirror is going to be available, really. Like, the swords could be pretty late from here, as far as we know.
They really could. They could be in Ganon's Tower. So who's to say?
Alright, but Smight is in Hera, not lamp locked. Maybe leaving behind an item in the basement.
Could be. And we still have no sign of the Moon Pearl. There's the key to the basement. That would be something else if the Moon Pearl was down in the basement. Well, there's 20 rupees at the big chest.
Yeah, so I believe that's one item out of 2 we've seen so far.
As Walter gets his hammer, he'll be happy to see that. But still wondering where the Moon Pearl is. We've got the possibility of a Zora Moon Pearl, which is one of the most annoying places for it.
Yeah, I really hope that Smite's able to get this second item without the lamp. Like, this really isn't a situation to be made light of.
No, it's a big, big moment here. Okay, so in fact, the top chest on the first floor was 10 arrows. So both items are gotten, according to chat. Walter's very close to the corner. Okay, but he's alright. You can get that sneaky bad bomb jump sometimes as Smight takes out the annoying Moldorm.
Oh, and he's trying to check the floating island. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, just got the bottom corner of the blue rupee. Alright, 1 crystal for Smight, so... Let's see what he chooses to do. Yeah, he's gonna go back over... Oh, and get dead rocked.
I'm in dead rock blocks today.
Yeah, seriously. So yeah, he's gonna go back over to the spiral cave like you said, Elm, and then... Well, he didn't go up and get the powder, so I wonder what he's gonna do about that, routing-wise. If he'll just save and quit and go check it, or save and quit and go check something else.
Sorry, Smite is the one who has seen the powder, right? Or is
No,
it Walter?
it was Walter. He picked it up.
Okay. Yeah, he's got a kind of a decision to make here, I guess. Like, he can jump down and check Spiral Cave, or he can jump down and check that powder. Either way, he's jumping down somewhere.
Right.
Spiral Cave's probably the harder one to get back to at this point, so I'd probably choose that.
And there it is!
It's got the more important item, too, so you should definitely choose that.
So. Alright, so Dark World access, no mirror, or, well, that's true too, but no lantern is what I meant to say. So, be interesting to see when Smite ever gets over to that. Not that he'll have any trouble in dark rooms, but it's still just nice to have the lantern. And
Yeah,
he has no other fire source either, does he, Elm? So...
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, you know, runners in the bracket stage, obviously, most of them are going to be really well versed in doing dark rooms. But the lamp, if it's your first fire source, that can be really significant as well. You would want it just for that.
Exactly. Hype Cave already giving us a sword and blue mail. And the Titan's mitts, so... living up to its name for once.
Okay, so we have Misery Mire, Turtle Rock, and Ice Palace pendants. So, wow.
Yeah, and Turtle Rock was the green pendant. And then Skull Woods was the pyramid crystal. So that should cover it all. Walter also no trouble taking down Moldorm, so it's nice to see for both these runners. No frustration. And he's going to walk back in and get the item up here, as he just went straight to the door on the right when he came in.
Oh, that's kind of an interesting way to wrap this.
Yeah, because you're going to have to leave, so I'm not sure it's the right way to do it in that particular case.
I don't think it's bad because you can find the 2 items on the way up and then not have to like walk to the back of the room and then
that's true
back to the front. I never really thought about it. Walter's gonna discover how trolly this mirror location is.
Exactly. And a shovel at the digging game. Isn't that appropriate?
It seems like a paradox.
It really does. It's almost as bad as the book on pedestal. Alright, so Walter about to get his Dark World access. And Smight making the good routing play, having found the Titan's Mitts to approach the village of outcasts from the south.
So this is kind of interesting. He's checking hammer pegs right away. Doesn't want to
Yeah.
grab the smith because he doesn't have the mirror to turn them in right away. Having the
Right.
smith following him would prevent him from entering dungeons like Thieves' Town.
And part of Skullwoods, although you can fall into some places with him.
Yeah, you can follow in. I think that actually deletes the follower.
Oh no, he keeps following you. I've messed around with that just to know.
Oh wait, seriously?
Yeah, he falls, and but then if you want to go to the back, then he says, "Can't you take me someplace nice?" So he eventually interferes with your ability to complete it.
Yeah, but so Walter's doing his map check. He's gonna go to Hype Cave, get his sword. I could see him maybe going to Pod after that. We'll see.
Yeah, that would be interesting. That's you wonder, maybe it's in the back of Smite's mind. You know, I've not got the lantern. Maybe I'll find it later, and that'll be a more opportune time to do Pod. Of course, he hasn't found the bow yet either. So
Yeah, this is interesting because Smite's having a ton of options here that are leading him away from desert.
yeah,
Could even say he's deserting desert.
hey. Kind of funny too. These guys found 2 medallions inside half an hour, and both the medallion dungeons are pendants and may not be required at all.
Yeah, T-Rock and Meyer pendants are interesting because it's probably the fastest potential pendant configuration you can get. Potentially
Yeah.
not needing to find the flute to get to Meyer, not needing to look for Ice Rod. Sometimes not even needing to find Samaria, although we did find that really early.
Yeah, it's a combination too, because in addition to the items you might not need to go look for, it's just Myra and Turtle Rock can be pretty time-consuming dungeons. Turtle Rock especially. Myra only really if you get trolled by the big key location, because it can be quite quick too. So yeah, we might have a very quick one on our hands depending how it plays out.
I was personally a little bit disappointed to see the mitts pop up so early because one of the things about IP being the third pendant as well is that that means we don't require mitts for any of the crystal dungeons.
Oh, that's true.
So they could have been really hard to find.
Yeah, since it's just... Well, I mean, of course, there could be progression, like in Dark Death Mountain or something, but otherwise, yeah, it would just be for Ganon's Tower access, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Alright, Walter finding the big key in Pod. He's out of keys, he's gonna have to drop down to the arena to get one. And then now he's going to go through the bow locked section on the right.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So after this, he should be able to tell whether the island in the center has a small key or not.
It's always so awkward getting through this hallway when you don't have boots to just dash through it.
I feel like I have good results walking up the right wall when I don't have boots, and dashing straight up the left wall when I do.
You don't have the jelly. Oh, there's our Master Sword, so that's good. You don't have jelly always follow you when you go to the right, because that happens to me every single time he gets in my way.
I mean, I don't really hug the right wall, but I kind of like stay close to it for half of it, kind of
Yeah.
weave. So that Master Sword puts the mirror in logic for Walter.
Right.
That's probably going to be on his mind. Like, the mirror is really useful for Dark World routing, making sure you aren't locking yourself out of checks or like isolating stuff.
Smight now onto the final phase of the blind fight, in perfect shape for this. Getting a little bit trolled by the heads.
Like,
Still
okay,
on-
honestly, that mirror location, if I'm Walter, I think I go straight there after this, because like, you know, the mirror is on there, so you're not going to find the mirror to be able to climb Tahara faster.
Right. So you get that, and then you also you can do the Dark World Death Mountain check at the same time, so it's not like you're just going up there for one thing either.
Okay, looks like Smite's gonna dip into Skullwoods and see what's there. Can't beat it without the Fire Rod, but can at least try and find the 2 items in the front.
Yeah, the value in this play not as high, again, as in recent past versions, but it's absolutely a worthy play here, as Walter finds the mushroom.
Yeah, I mean, could still find progression here.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not too slow of a check. But I would say it's significant enough that you wouldn't just want to do it every time, like
Like you would before.
I didn't even do it every time before, like V26. I still think it was situational. It was a lot more likely, but
All right, so Walter warping back to the front. He's only got 1 key, so he knows he doesn't need to check the upper chest.
this is like, unless Smite pulls something like the Fire Rod soon, this seems really unfortunate for him, because he's kind of in a catch-22 where he doesn't want to go to desert because he has to walk all the way there and he doesn't have a fire source to beat it.
Yeah, and he doesn't have boots in case it's boots locked, and all these reasons that you would be telling yourself not to go there.
A flute could also be an item he pulls that would really help him.
Yeah, definitely. Then it's a much quicker check. All right, so
This is
Smite
just
gonna-
rando though, like that's...
Oh, it is.
You can route as well as you want, but like if you're just fed specific information and withheld specific information, you can end up in unfortunate situations like this that like really just aren't your fault.
No, they're not your fault at all. You're playing what's in front of you, but you know, it's true though. You're right. This is the epitome of rando happening between these 2 runners right now. And interestingly, Smight is going to make the Death Mountain check without the Master Sword. Or no, he's not. He's checking Spectacle Rock Cave, which could be interesting because it is powder.
Yeah, may give him incentive to walk back to Kakariko again and check that, check the magic bat, and then go dip back into the Dark World from there. Actually, I don't think he can do anything else in that area.
Yeah, it's interesting because he decided not to grab Jeremiah the frog.
Oh, that's true.
Either, so now he's really maybe going to be driven to go back there.
Oh, he's got Titans and he's got Hookshot, so actually, Dark Death Mountain check might be in store for
Yeah,
him.
he is going to do that now. As Walter finishing up the Helmosaur King with some slashes.
Bit of a dicey position.
Little
Phase
bit,
2 is pretty scary because he can actually do his tail swipe and spit out a fireball at the same time, which you can't do in Phase 1.
right. Gets through it. Not too much there. In pod though. All right, so it'll be interesting to see. Smite's got 6 more chests to check.
Yeah, Walter's going straight for that mirror.
Yeah.
That's really powerful for him because he's going to have a lot of freedom with how he chooses to route the Dark Death Mountain checks. Wait, actually, he's done all of Paradox Cave, so that doesn't really matter.
Well, yeah, true. But still, the mirror is always nice flexibility, overworld and underworld wise. Nothing in Super Bunny Cave for Smite, so he'll be checking the Hookshot Cave. I also wonder if he'll just, for his own information, see what's over on the Turtle Rock Medallion. It is the Green Pendant Dungeon, too, so it may be something the runners are gravitated to.
Yeah, I mean, like you definitely don't skip out on the information if it's right in front of you, but may not be needed.
Nothing. Wow.
Well, I guess he skipping out on.
Yeah, you're right. He didn't. Maybe he's just thinking, nope, I don't even want to know because I don't want to go there.
He's got 2 medallions, so like it's fairly likely he would be able to enter it.
And it looks like he is making the desert play. He's sort of been pushed there, hasn't he? No? Now he's headed back to the Dark World.
I imagine he's probably going to dip into pod and then maybe check Pyramid and Catfish after that.
Yeah, I guess so.
And this is going to be another double dip that doesn't help him. So, and it's compounded by the fact that we don't have the flute. So, he's going to have to walk all the way back there most likely.
Walter doing a little loop there to also pick up the bottle. That's another fetch quest that he's got. And that he can do, and he can route it in with the mirror when he goes to the Village of Outcasts. So more time saves.
Yeah, this is looking like insanely good for Walter and insanely bad for Smight right now. Smight really needs, he really needs a good item on Pyramid or Catfish at this point.
Alright, so Walter gonna approach this from the top, which obviously makes a lot of sense since he was up here. And it's Quake anyway.
Okay, well, everyone's crossing their fingers that we don't find that. I mean, the runners at least are.
Yeah. I don't think you're speaking for most of chat there.
So I don't remember if Big Chest had an item, but I believe the big key... Oh, never mind. The big key was on the bridge. He'll be able to find it.
Yeah, I guess the one silver lining for Smite is that he just can't do as much of this dungeon now that he's here. We already know he's not going to find anything.
I don't know if that's much of silver lining.
I know. We're trying to find something for the poor guy. It's still... Yeah, just down to the desert. It's unbelievable. Agina and the one chest you have access to, excuse me, in desert without boots when it turns out that way is just a massive difference right now.
Oh yeah, Chad is right. The sword that he would get in Palace of Darkness is
What's on the
Bowlock.
right
He's
side,
not even
yeah.
gonna find that.
That
He's not
is
gonna get it
true.
in here.
Oh man.
This is insane.
And that may be the only sword that leads to the mirror, logically. He may run out of locations.
He doesn't even have a bottle to potion glitch with.
Exactly.
Because the
Because
bottle
that's up
is on
there,
the
too.
spectacle rock.
It's just everything, yeah, that could possibly mess you up. So Walter's going to go ahead first and do the same checks that Smight did in Skull Woods.
I can't believe this.
No, I know. Like, could it stack any more against him?
This is why we do best of 3 for bracket.
That's for sure. You do not want a match for advancement to come down to something like this. At least not a single instance of it.
Yeah, it's crazy because like we're in round 1 of brackets, but this was after 7 rounds of Swiss spanning 8 weeks. So there's a lot behind these matches.
Definitely.
Smight doing the Dark Maze, which is not too bad for him since he has a sword to navigate with.
Yeah, I think, interested if you agree, that Dart Pod without a sword is probably, and without Fire Rod, is probably my least favorite Dark Rune possibility in the game.
Yeah, I think Pod is one of the best examples of like just because you can do Dark Runes doesn't necessarily mean you should.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Walter getting his bomb jump ready, but not using the spin strat, which can really help. It looked like he had it lined up a time or two, but still ended up falling off.
Yeah,
Okay.
probably wasn't confident in the position and tried to go further.
Yeah. Oh, and gets trolled by the mini Moldworm. Now he's too low, I think. Yeah, he is.
This is okay. This is a 2-pixel window to stand without doing the bonk strat.
He's too low again, I think. No. Yes. There you go. So I mean, it's not a huge penalty that this happened. He's just going to start in the door again. But it's frustrating.
Yeah, the spin strat you mentioned, Justin, is fairly recent-ish find.
Yeah. But it doesn't take a whole lot to master it, and then it's just such a great security blanket. Okay, now
I was kind of bad at it for a while, but
were you?
yeah, I think I just didn't really understand it. But like the gist of it is, you can't release your spin attack if you're slipping off the edge. So that means that if you walk up such that you're slipping off, and then you hold away from the ledge with your spin attack charge, and you release the sword during that time, the spin attack won't release until you're on solid ground.
And on the very first pixel of solid ground is the important point.
Yeah.
Oh, and this is an interesting check. Smite routing in the dig spots. Just $50.
Yeah, so Smite's avoiding desert simply because he doesn't want to go there, walk all the way there without boots or a fire source. May have forgotten about how early of a lead Book showed up as.
Yeah, maybe by now. Walter,
But
good
also,
play there, by the way.
chat. Sorry, go ahead.
What? Oh, just saying that Walter was low on health, so he made the good play with the anti-fairy under that pot. He's got the powder.
Yeah. I don't think I knew that Bunny Beam was there, actually. But yeah, chat's being a little critical of the fact that Smight did an early sequence break and isn't covering his main hole that he left for what would be needed to advance, which is desert at this point. Like, he should really be able to deduce, if he's thinking about it, that a lamp is there. Or maybe the flute, even. Like, the flute could be there for what he knows.
Yeah, it's. I mean, and I understand chat's criticism. At the same time, it's easy to say that when you're sitting there watching and you're not having to play and use your brain cycles, you know, on actually playing the game. So, I mean, of course, that's one of the higher level challenges of Randomizer. But, you know, it's easy to, when you do sequence break, to make it hard on yourself to work out, you know, what's actually my intended path here.
Yeah, like, it's probably it's a hole that you kind of want to plug sooner rather than later, because with
True.
with so much, with the amount that Smite had opened up to him, that didn't end up paying off. Like, just probably just completely went out of his mind. Sorry, the sequence break implications went out of his mind. I'm not saying Smite went out of his mind.
Yeah, and I mean, they probably have. Is that a mistake? Well, I mean, we know it is objectively, just based on what we're seeing, but it didn't have to turn out that way at all. It could have been, you know, a game-changing play the other way. So, yeah, he should have probably plugged it early, but as I said, it's easy to sit back and make that criticism.
Okay, so he's grabbing the purple chest.
Yeah.
He could. Oh. This could lead him to desert, actually. And he's going to be the first one to check this, too.
And it's a good play routing-wise. So, you know, maybe he decided, yeah, I should probably make it over to desert at some point. Well, why don't I try to route something into it? And he gets the flippers!
Okay, well, thankfully that isn't leading him astray just yet. He is walking towards desert.
Well, and yeah, I mean, yeah, he's not just immediately going and and taking a dip in Lake Hylia. That's true. Also, Ice Palace is a pendant, and he probably wants to avoid that. And Swamp, he can't go in yet, so it opens things, but not too many. All right, he's got his lamp.
Okay, so he's going to go into desert, find his bow. That bow should lead him back to pod, which he should clear for the sword, and then eventually get the mirror, so I think he's going to be back on track soon enough.
Meanwhile, Walter in the blind fight. There we go.
I think Walter, like, all the stuff that he's checking, aside from the mirror spots, is stuff that Smite has already checked and really turned up nothing, so
True.
we're either looking at those flippers leading to whatever Walter needs next, or a mirror spot.
Yeah, I mean, based on what we've seen, there does seem to be a pretty good chance that the flippers lead to something. All right, Smite's immediately saving and quitting. And another possibility would be Armos Knights, because we know they have an item. That would be something.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yep, Smight gonna go ahead and go for a swim first before he thinks about that. And this is feeling like one of those seeds where... I mean... I guess once Walter finds those flippers, that's the thing. It could be that it's just Swamp Palace, and all of the Lake Hylia stuff is just a waste of time. But... we're about to find out.
Yeah, Walter's gonna save a ton of time having the mirror in
Definitely.
this whole sequence. A little bit more than mere seconds.
Hey. 320 rupees in the waterfall cave. So yeah, unless we've got a ledge item, it's not looking good for the flippers in the overworld. A single arrow, boy. He's got to be frustrated.
That's important.
Yeah. Yeah. And the scam. So, But Walter still doesn't have the answer either. And they do both have a mushroom.
Pretty much. Do we ever do a mushroom check? I don't think so.
So you might see Smight here doing pyramid catfish, but he doesn't have the mirror, whereas Walter does.
At this point, I don't think the mushroom is gonna lead to anything too important.
You've just set yourself up for it, Elm, so I hope for your sake that it's a big 20.
I mean, I've been playing this for quite a while, so I've had many opportunities to be wrong in situations where it actually affects me.
Right. All right, so Smite back to pod, which is close to the only play I think he's got now. He'll find his Master Sword, and then he'll find his mirror, but then maybe again be left thinking, okay, now what? I guess he will have Swamp Palace access at that point, so that'll have to be what it is. Walter's getting close to that too.
Okay, I think the best resolution to the mushroom situation is if it has Quake, but it's not required.
I like that. Yeah. Lead you even more astray for going on that fetch quest.
Although we are missing the fire rod, that it's like the main thing that's standing out right now. Is that it? What's our go mode? Is it just fire rod? I guess no mode, since Walter doesn't have flippers yet, but I'll have them soon.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, and boots, because we can't get through desert without them.
I thought it wasn't boots locked.
No, it was the bow was at the chest, so they can't proceed until they've got their boots too.
Oh, okay. Right. That makes a lot of sense. That makes way too much sense.
And what a convenient place for Walter for these flippers to be. He'll probably route in a Bombos tablet check and then just head right back over to Swamp Hollow. And he seems to be on the path the seed kind of wants you to take.
Yeah, I think that's pretty reasonable. Swamp, because of like having to make the 3-minute decision on whether to check left side or not, even if it's a crystal, generally people will put that off at least a little bit. But Walter's already done.
Just
I think
about everything.
Yeah. It's not even like a super bad like last location syndrome for him to be in at this point. Like there definitely are bad iterations of that. But
Yeah,
I
and
think
you mean like the feeling of it too? I don't think he would feel that way. Alright, so Walter's setting up his entrance to Swamp Palace just as Smight reaches the Helmasaur King.
Oh, Smight getting pinned against the wall by Helmasaur.
Yeah, that's always fun. But he gets his slashes in. Nice job persevering with that one.
So what do you think we're going to find in Swamp? You think we'll find boots or a fire rod or a flute?
I mean, yeah, we've already got the Titan's Mitt, so it can't be that. It seems like it's there all the time. Yeah, for some reason, Fire Rods just kind of feels like the one that it will be. And we've still got an item in the back of Skull Woods, unless I'm misremembering. So that could potentially lead to something. But even if it doesn't, it opens up access to everyone's favorite Turtle Rock, and of course they'll have to find Quake, so maybe both.
Oh yeah, we do have Quake out there. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah.
Oh well, it's not necessarily required actually. So, I'm feeling a flute though.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Maybe it won't be too bad. Maybe progression in Mire Shed.
Right. Or Checkerboard Cave, another option there.
Yeah. So Smight at long last going to get his mirror.
Yeah. 45, 50 minutes after he first learned of its location.
Like at least the knowledge of it is nice. Like it really helps you with decisions like when to walk back up Death Mountain because you know at least that the mirror isn't going to turn up in other spots.
Yeah, that's true. It's definitely kind of counterbalanced by, I guess, just getting nervous that you've known it's been up there for that long and you've still not been able to reach it. But it is nice knowing that you've not got to worry.
But like a lot of the anxiety in Rando is due to uncertainty.
Yeah.
So if you got some level of certainty, then like even if you have to walk all the way back up there, it's like, oh hey, well you know your opponent has to do this too, and you also know that if and when you do it, you aren't making a call that's going to sink you multiple minutes relative to something else that's correct.
Yeah, definitely. Well, amazingly, I mean, would we have expected them to be fairly close like this? I'm not sure I would have. But it's kind of, they've kind of slingshotted a little bit and gotten closer together again.
I think the fact that the flippers didn't turn up earlier for Walter
Yeah.
is even that. He's still a fair bit ahead. Just because like everything worked out for him to route this much better than Smight was able to.
It did, especially the mirror situation, as you mentioned. And then, yeah, a couple other things helped as well. But he'll be headed back to the center and the back just as Smite's entering, so it's not any kind of huge deficit, which is good to see.
Yeah, so chat's mentioning Smight has some checks down, like some mirror locations, that he hasn't checked. He is up the Zora check, I believe. But I think like the likelihood that we're going to find progression in Swamp. I mean, we might not. It might be in Ice, for all we know.
It might be an Ice. That would certainly kind of fit with the pattern of the seed so far. So yeah, could be.
But I mean, like, if we find progression in Swamp, that's going to lead Smight likely to wherever Walter's going to go with it. So
yeah,
he's going to be led away from the mirror spots he hasn't checked.
And we now have Spike Cave in logic too.
Good old Spike Cave.
Yes.
Whenever I hear Spike Cave, I always like somewhere in my mind, my brain also hears Spite Cave, and I think about it, and I'm just like, that's not that inaccurate of a name. I feel.
Agreed. Really is a pain. All right, so Walter going to be forced to do a Master Sword Argus here, which is an annoying fight. Even at the best of times.
Yeah, it looks like we might not actually turn up anything in Swamp at all.
Yeah, it is looking that way. And Smite making... Oh, and this Walter did a nice job getting a spin in there. But yeah, Smite making the play where he's going to be able to re-enter and check left side along with the big chest, basically. So that's always nice. Give him a little bit of a speed boost. And there it is. Well, big chest or bust.
Well, at least it's a crystal, and we see both of them checked. Well, actually, Smite didn't check left side yet.
Yeah.
I guess it remains to be seen if he does.
That's also true. He might be feeling like he ought to just chance it.
Yeah, that would actually, like, that would, if he just pieces out right now, that puts him ahead.
Yeah, kind of. Well, maybe not ahead. Because he's having to finish up the fight as Walter gets the big chest, so...
Oh yeah, it's true, Walter's already done left side, I forgot.
Yeah. Just the boomerang, though. We might have Armos Knights. It's starting to look like maybe you get the book in Sahasrah's hut. You're right next to Eastern, so you just go in. Then you get the bow from where the book led you, and you have no inclination to go back there. But maybe that's where it is. Walter, though, looking like he's going to make an ice play. And with Master Sword and no Fire Rod, but Bombos, your ticket to entry to Ice Palace, just not fun.
I'm actually surprised Walter's going ice over
Yeah.
Eastern.
Yeah, Eastern's a crystal you're going to have to pick up anyway at some point. So, why not get it out of the way?
Assuming Fire Rod doesn't turn up, he's going to have a fun Cold Stare fight as well.
Yeah,
if he chooses to see it through all the way.
That's kind of what I was alluding to with only having the Master Sword and no Fire Rod to help you out in here. Definitely not a good time. Well, early big key, so...
Like, the thing about not doing EP at this point is that, like, you might be taking the extra time to walk there. If Loot were to turn up here, you might be able to save that time, but, like, I don't think that's... it's an item you're gonna have to get at some point, so
Well,
might
right.
as well at least see if it's the next required thing before doing this. Because, like, if he goes to Armos after this and gets progression off it, he's gonna feel really bad.
Yeah, the entire thing you've just wasted. Absolutely.
I mean, unless something turns up here, it actually seems pretty likely from our point of view that there is something.
Yeah. From a percentage odds overall, it is pretty good, but no, it is a little bit strange not to just go check what you're gonna have to check. 100%.
And maybe he miscounted items in EP and thinks he found 3.
Could be. Alright, so let's see if Smight mirrors out and makes the same play, or if he decides... No, he's saving and quitting, so maybe he's going to... No? Okay, he's going to his house, so maybe Pyramid and Catfish now. No, he's doing Eastern.
This could turn the tide. We'll
This
see.
absolutely could. This is... honestly amazing that it's now coming down to this.
Actually, I didn't really think about this because they both went into Eastern, but they both have done an unnecessary double dip of Eastern. Samaria didn't. That hasn't been able to lead to anything for them yet.
Yeah, true.
So that could be on their minds as well.
Oh, the cape. So if Walter had ideas of going to Spike Cave, he may have just had them reinforced by seeing that item too. Almost like a reminder. And I'm trying to remember, Elm. Did we ever see Bumper Cave?
I don't think so.
Okay. So maybe that's a plan.
I remember. No, never. I'm thinking of an earlier race I watched.
Okay.
Never mind. I don't know if we've seen it or not. I can't say.
I don't recall that we did. So
Oh yeah, I don't think we've seen any of Graveyard Ledge.
Okay. Maybe both runners. Well, in Smite's case, just didn't have the mirror yet, but in Walter's maybe hoping to get the boots first before he does those checks.
Yeah, that's pretty fair.
Yeah.
If boots are on graveyard ledge, though, then
Oh man, I know.
that's probably one of the worst places for them, unless you've got an Agassiz actually.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like Agassiz are interesting. This is like way off topic, sort of, I guess, but like they're interesting because it totally like flips the dynamic of the graveyard ledge catfish area.
Oh, massively. Absolutely. And he's got to go down and fight Cold Stare if he wants a third item in here, so... But, meanwhile, Smite...
Oh yeah, Eastern did not turn out to be 3 red items. That's unfortunate.
No. That's right.
I guess I must have read that wrong.
It sure felt like it ought to be. Okay, what's Smight doing now? Okay, well, meanwhile, Walter's got a long fight ahead of him. We might see him pull the hammer out to help with this. He may just stick to spins, though, and slashes. Yeah, it looks like that's what he's going to do. And he's going to take a lot of damage anytime one of these puffs hits him. Blue Mail
would actually be a really good option here.
That's a good point, yeah.
He's not going to use the magic for anything else.
Well, and he's got a green potion to boot, so he's got almost like infinite gape in here. Down to 4 hearts. So he knows he can take one more hit safely. Well, doing a good job of dodging. Got one of the puffs. Ooh, gets really nice. Double on both of those eye puffs. And it looks like this one's about done, and it is. So, good job clutching that out. And he fights the Fire Rod! Wow! Ice Palace, once again, paying off.
Oh, that's certainly an ice play.
God.
I went for the low-hanging one.
Yeah, that, no further comment. Oh, man. Alright, so pretty obvious now, but, I mean, we've only got one item at most, and I think we have one item left. And that's why Walter's headed to Skull Woods, but what else does that open, kids? It opens up full access to Turtle Rock, Pendant Turtle Rock.
And we still need Quake for that.
Oh yeah, duh. Okay, so let's find Quake
Thankfully.
here. Yeah, thankfully for them, we still need Quake for it. But...
Wait, is it? Oh no, he still needs boots. Yeah, it's just boots for Go mode for Walter, I think.
That's true.
Yeah, so those boots are if he needs to find them.
Right. And you know, maybe they're in like Mimic Cave.
Yeah, the boots are the sole progression item remaining for him.
Yeah, and I mean that's true of Smight at this point too, I suppose. Once he finds the Fire Rod anyway, of course he's got a long way to go before he does that. But he's checking locations now that Walter hasn't. So now we might see Walter step right out of Skull Woods and check them. But still.
I'm getting a bit worried about chat. It seems like there's a lot of ghosts in it today.
A lot of ghosts. That sounds ominous, Elm. Funny you mention it, because I'm kind of getting that feeling now too. Walter fire rotting Mothula and gets a slash to finish her off. Map, so gonna have to head downstairs.
Yeah, Walter is still on the hunt for those boots.
He is. Good. That arrow upgrade did not point the way to progression. Oh, pedestal check. Trying to figure out how this could work. Okay, well, doesn't matter now.
That'd be pretty insane
It
for all
would.
this to lead to the pedestal. We'd have to find so many more items. I mean, you have to check it at this point, but I really didn't think it was gonna be there.
No, that would have been some serious like permutations to get to that point. Piece of heart on pyramids. Having beaten Skull Woods, Walter has opened up the Pyramid Fairy Bomb, so maybe we're about to see that.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, like we're really not far away at this point from something leading to something.
That's the thing. How much is the seed going to string something leading to something out?
Oh, let's see. We could find flute. We could find quake. We could find ice rod.
Yeah, there's a lot of possibilities. Walter, I'm sure, desperately wants to avoid Turtle Rock, for example. So he really doesn't want to see Quake. I imagine he'd feel a bit better about the flute. A bonus silver arrows in here wouldn't hurt anybody either. Smite doesn't know what the Turtle Rock medallion is, so I think he's actually going back up to check, possibly.
I think
no,
going
he's
for a
in a Spike Cave. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. Well, this is a play, amazingly enough. As much overworld as each of them has been clearing now, this is not one that either one has done so far. So we're going to get two big checks right back to back. Tempered Sword, and the boots! There it is. So an hour and 24-minute go mode for Walter. And he's just going to dash out of here.
Yeah, so I guess all that remains to be seen here is when Smight is going to make the call on Ice Palace.
Yeah, and what a call it has turned out to be, as it basically led in a straight line to those boots at the Pyramid Ferry.
Yeah, gotta wonder how Walter is feeling about his position right now. Meanwhile, Smight not finding very much in Spike Cave.
Oh dear. Well, we naysayed Walter's failure to check Eastern, but he's going to be able to run through here a lot faster now. Alright, and Smite has now headed over to Ice Palace, but clearly at this point, Walter's well ahead, and it would take some real catastrophic stuff for him to fall behind. Even worse for Smite is the fact that these, Fire Rod is on Cold Stare, so exceedingly likely he's going to check the entire dungeon first before he even has the chance at it. It's not one of those where you can find what you're looking for and just get out.
Yeah, like also because it's a pendant, so
Right.
like in a lot of situations, if Ice Palace is a crystal, I'll sort of like half go mode it if I'm only looking for one item or if I feel behind. But pendant, not as good of a play generally.
No, it's just not an option. Well, I'm thinking Walter Knight go to Desert Palace now.
Yeah, it's certainly an option on the table. Another good option for him would be Desert Palace.
There is, of course, always the third choice, Desert Palace. And assuming Walter is not able to find the flute in Ganon's tower, we will have the Paradox Flute following Aghanim 2.
Yeah, either way we're going to have a time-splooted stat of 1.
Yes, exactly. Smite trying to get some health back, but the bunny beam started moving before he was able to get the powder onto it. Oh, but gets a multiple of 4 a piece of art to recover. Alright, Walter wisely mirroring back to the front door.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's faster to mirror there, but not to Death Warp. Like it's that close.
Because you've got the animation and everything. That's a good point. Certainly not to death warp if you need to take more than one hit. Alright, so...
I don't know if the fireball room before Ice Tea has a name, but that was some impressive wiggling to get through it and get past the firebar without boots.
Yeah, what a pain that is. Whatever that room is called, it's terrible. Anyway, even when you do have boots.
It's like when you're trying to, I don't know, it can be really hard to move in a straight line when you're on ice and you're trying to turn corners too.
Yeah, exactly. Alright, so Walter into Landmolus, and almost the same time as Smight is into Colster. 2 cycle burns those worms. And that's crystal number 7, Elm, so what comes now?
I think people type random numbers in chat in hope of being close to a certain number that is unknown to us as of yet.
Well, give it a shot, chat. Where is the big key? 1 to 22 are the valid guesses.
I would like to point out that we have had a guess of 24 win the big key guessing game.
That's a very good point. I had forgotten about that.
But yeah, if you are a subscriber or a 250-bit supporter of any of the speed gaming channels, you will be eligible to appear on the big key guessing game leaderboard if you rack up enough correct answers.
And hoping to join the ranks on that leaderboard is Fronell, who subscribed. Thank you very much. Hopefully I didn't miss anybody else. It's always just kind of a giant jumble of texts when the guessing game starts. That's why we have a bot keep track of this stuff. All right, what are you thinking, Elm?
Oh, I have to guess too.
Yeah, why not?
Well, I was trying to think what could possibly be funnier than 24.
That's tough.
And the only answer that came to mind was 25.
25, all right. I think that works. As we find the butter sword on the torch for number 1, Walter going left immediately. I think he'll be happy to see that, especially since he doesn't have the silver arrows. Not that it changes the number of spins he would need in a silverless Ganon fight, but just getting to that phase is a lot easier. And there is the big key in chest number 2.
Okay, wow, I was way off. As someone in chat points that I do not need to guess the number 2, like I was saying.
Yeah, in fact, you're more than 22 off, which is pretty remarkable. More than the total number of chests that they're.
Yeah, that's more than the entire range of the tower.
Yeah. In all likelihood, though, Walter, if the silver arrows are in Ganon's tower, has left them behind as a result. He didn't even keep checking chests, so he is headed most likely toward a silverless Ganon fight.
Yeah, I mean, like, why would you at this point? Like, he's got butter.
Oh yeah,
We're
nothing
deep
that's
into
gonna
bracket
bother him.
stage. We've all done silverless at one time or another.
Yes. He will not have any trouble with it, that's for sure.
I'm actually curious now if the speedy gaming bot counts negative numbers.
So put in -1, and if no one guesses like 1 through 3, and it's 1, yeah.
That
Try
gold
it.
sword paying off for him as he's able to poke the red Zazak, which would not die to a tempered poke. Actually, like, did he just find that? Did he just find butter in Ganon's
It was
tower?
on the torch, so it was 1, and then big 2.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah. Not a bad couple of immediate checks.
Yeah, I didn't notice because I was busy buttering up chat with my big key guess. That's okay. This race is almost over. Don't worry.
Tried to dash over into that Lanmo worm. There he gets him.
Okay, Smight going to Pyramid Fairy right after Mothula.
Yeah.
Gonna get his boots. Like, certainly the best call for him at this point.
Yep, the linear call after we had that detour over to Ice Palace. The right one.
Walter taking his time on the torches so that the fire bar doesn't knock him off in the middle.
Yeah, and then falling intentionally to save a little time, so a nice balance of the strat there.
That's not actually faster, but I believe the torch time doesn't run out while the camera's panning to respawn you, so it makes it easier.
I would have always thought it was faster because it just kind of takes you back to the door in a straight line, whereas you've got to kind of walk down and then left. You know.
No, it's actually pretty slow to respawn you more than you would think.
Interesting. Alright, so 2 slashes with the butter sword. You can throw a spin in if you like, and Walter does. I'm not going to check the last chest, so the location of the silver arrows remains a mystery for now. Ooh, body time by Mini Helmasaur, and yep, good move here to just switch to the cape. Get it over with.
Yeah, cape's nice there because it goes straight through the bumpers as well, no matter what their position is.
Ooh, able to get a double, I believe.
Yeah, that could have almost been a triple.
Very nearly, yeah. Manages to get one there. More blue balls, though, interrupts his spin.
Yeah, I hate when you're actually lined up properly and then
Exactly.
get a blue ball to the face.
Hoping he doesn't get one here, and he doesn't, to finish off Aghanim. And right on an hour and 40 minutes, Walter headed down into the Ganon fight. The worst text box Ganon can have if you take a fall here is that one.
Is that the slowest one?
No, I just mean because it says, I feel like we keep ending up here. It's like he's mocking you for falling in the first place.
Oh, that totally went over my head. I should have figured that out. Yeah, I think they're all the same length, so I'm just like...
Yeah,
on it.
three, I don't know, scrolls, just like in the vanilla game. And Walter is halfway through phase 3. And now it's spin time. Turtle Rock. I don't think they would have been going for that one.
Yeah, nobody's getting that.
No. And Walter's taking it easy, which we know he's justified to be doing. Gonna go for a triple here. Doesn't quite get the timing.
Spins too late on that.
Yeah, it's tight there, but he does get 2 out of the 3, so he's at 3 now. Needs 12.
I think he was worried about turning Ganon blue there, which wastes a bunch of time. It wastes like half the torch cycle.
Okay, he's halfway through.
Oh, that was kind of scary.
It was. And Walter, 3 hits away just as Smight has finished up the 3 Worms of Lanmolas. 1 more. He's got it! GG to Walter the Fourth. He finishes with an official time of 1 hour, 42 minutes, 22 seconds.
Yeah, GG. Walter takes game 1. Congratulations to him.
Congratulations indeed, and I think we can agree, Elm, that, I mean, this really just came down to, ultimately, anyway, the Ice Palace call, not any kind of, you know, massive skill difference or anything like that. And even though we had that initial sequence break that threw Smight off, he did a really good job fighting back there for a while.
Yeah, like it really came down to the Ice Palace call, in the end more than it did Smite's initial delay of Desert. As bad as that turned out for him, Walter did end up clearing a lot of the overworld once he got the mirror.
Exactly. And speaking of Walter, we have him with us. GG.
Yeah, thank you. GG.
So how'd you feel about that one?
Pretty terrible, if I'm gonna be honest.
I wondered if you might.
Yeah, I felt so behind the entire race. Which was like one of the main reasons why I went into Ice Palace, which I would imagine my opponent did later.
That's right. That's exactly right. That was the difference, essentially. Not all of it, but that was a big chunk of it. So what was it specifically that was making you feel behind early, Walt?
Well, I had pretty bad execution, if you see how I normally play, and also I did a couple of bad calls, like Swamp was completely empty.
Well, I'm not sure that was really a bad call. It was definitely where all the items pointed. It just didn't turn out.
Yeah, it was like kind of in a position where you were very likely both to have done it. So it was kind of more neutral than it seemed.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing that did feel a little bit better in the early game at the very least, or I didn't know it until later on, but I really hoped when I found the Master Sword in Palace of Darkness that was the only sword we could get to before getting the mirror, which turned out to be the case. Or Oh, actually, no. We could have gone into ice. No.
No, you're. Oh, well, you could have gone into ice way earlier.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
That's not really a thing, I think.
Yeah, that,
Was likely to have been done. So it's
Right.
like-
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
that was
Yeah,
technically
actually, you could have
available.
gotten. Yeah, you could have gotten in with the fighter sword. But,
Right.
Yeah, that was probably pretty unlikely.
And it's interesting you mentioned that, because the big difference between the two of you early, and which really gave you an early, was that Smite sequence broke to Death Mountain before having gone over to the desert stuff that you did. So he had neither the lantern nor the bow at that point.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And
Did
do
he?
you remember where the Master Sword was in Palace of Darkness?
I guess it was bow locked.
Yeah, so he had to double dip it just to get it, and then to get the mirror.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Did he
But-
go up?
Go ahead.
Did he go up before doing Easton as well?
Yeah. Yeah, he sure did.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
yeah, so he had the knowledge at least.
Yeah.
But like the way it played out was so like pretty much everything possible kind of bit him for not staying in sequence going to desert, and also not patching up his sequence break when he could.
Yeah, that's what our big talking point was early, Walt, was that you were kind of gaming because he didn't fill the hole in the logic that had to be there. I mean, it eventually had to be there. There was nothing left, and it turned out to be the bow. But because of all the overworld checks you guys had to do, that gap that opened up, was shrinking over time. And then you were both in Swamp Palace at the same time. So even though you found nothing there, that was where you converged again.
Okay,
But then you made the play. And he still had a few more overworld checks to do, including mirror stuff. So it's understandable he wanted to avoid ice. But you'd made the checks, and so, yeah, making that play, that really did it for you.
Yeah, I was pretty glad when I saw that fire rod, because when I jumped down to Coaster, I was thinking, if Coaster has nothing right now, then there's no coming back.
Oh, Smite's got one heart in the gauntlet. He does have that fairy from Spike Cave, so he's fine.
Yeah, he should be all right. But yep,
I have to ask though, why the Ice Palace play before finishing off Crystal Eastern?
There was a couple of reasons, but the main reason was I felt behind. I needed to do something that could pull me ahead. But also, we got Titanus Miss pretty early, and the Titanus Miss led to the flipper as well. And since Swamp was empty, I was thinking about first doing Ice Palace, and then or actually I was going to do like the water, like the flipper locations first. But at that point I decided I probably need to do something more drastic, so I went into Ice Palace first instead. And Eastern was only one item, and I didn't want to think that there was anything in there.
Okay, so it was that even though it was something you were going to have to do,
Yeah.
you're just like, it doesn't matter, because if it is, you feel like you were lost.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay. As Smight gets through the torch room and is headed up toward Moldorm 2. So, how are you feeling, Walter? I mean, this is a big victory for you in the first game of this first round matchup.
Yeah. During the tournament, I've been really, really nervous during the race, especially like when you hit go mode and you know that you might still have a chance to win. But that was like nothing compared to playing in the bracket now, because I got even more nervous. So hopefully I can try to keep my nerves a little bit down, because my hands were like shaking when I was playing, and it was pretty hard to play sometimes.
So you were saying you weren't happy with your execution. Is that basic? That's obviously the source of your execution problems.
Yeah, let's say it is.
Okay. I mean, it's not like we thought that, so it's obviously stuff you feel like, is maybe generally not quite so visible to viewers who aren't the ones playing.
Yeah, when I missed the bomb jump in Skullwood's big chest like 10 times in a row, that was the moment where I just had to like take a break and just breathe for a while.
And we're getting some swagnet action from Smight, very nice, on Aghanim 2 here.
136 collection rate, I feel really low for the time, but I think a lot of that is due to completely skipping Mire and T-Rock areas and really big keying Ganon's tower.
Yeah, 2 out of 22, and then no other checks. You didn't check anything, so that was something else we were talking about. Obviously knew you'd have no problem with a silverless Ganon, but you weren't even interested in trying to find the silvers in the tower?
Yeah, not really.
Okay.
As long as I had tempered, I don't really care too much about the silvers.
Yeah, gotcha.
Well, Smight may have lost this match, but he's scoring himself a net win on Aghanim.
Yes, he is. I also like that it seemed like the net deflected the blue balls too. And just in a straight line rather than splitting them somehow. It's like he caught them and threw them across the room.
I actually didn't know that. I didn't
Yeah.
know that. That's really good to know.
I've never seen that before. Definitely worth going back and having a... It looked like he was playing, lacrosse. Like he grabbed the blue balls with the net and threw them to the other side.
So I've gotten a lot of vanilla items when I played this game, but I think when I got like vanilla Sanctuary Heart, that was one of the most hype vanilla items I ever got.
Glad you brought that up, because we were pretty happy about that too.
Yeah, I've never seen that before.
Yeah, right. I don't think I have either. Oh, I've had it as the fourth heart when I've had 3 full, so I was in a position where I didn't know.
Oh, you didn't know it, yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. That's pretty crazy.
Alright, so Smight halfway through. Might get a triple here. Nope, he went early, and we noticed you were trying to time it, Walter, so you didn't turn Ganon blue, but you missed late a couple times.
Yeah, I didn't really get the triples the way I wanted to.
Yeah, the timing's tough. It always is.
Yeah, Smite's being a lot more aggressive with the going in for the spins.
Yeah. And he's got it.
GG Smight.
Very nicely done, and Smight finishes with an official time of 1 hour 54 minutes 4 seconds. And we bring him in with us as well. GG.
Good game.
Yeah, GG.
So the big talking point for us during the early part of the race, you sequence break to Death Mountain, broke to Death Mountain, and Walter didn't, and that opened up a lead for some time. What was kind of your thoughts as far as ultimately doing a lot of checks before you got back down to Desert?
I had, I knew the lamp was either on Zora or down there, so there's one of the 4 items already, and I just didn't want to go back down there for that.
Yeah, that's kind of what we thought, because it's a long walk. You're hoping to find something to get you there faster, right? If you ever have to go back.
Yeah. And I didn't have a fire source except for the fire, so I was a little worried about the entire Hera, but I didn't need it, so I never went back.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, it definitely makes sense. It just turned out to be one of those plays that could go either way in classic fashion.
I had trouble with the bomb start. It's been a long time since I've had that. I couldn't remember how to do it.
Well, you definitely clutched it out, especially that second blue guard.
And that fire rod, I had no idea. I checked. I was starting to get confused, but I just didn't want to go to Ice Palace with what I had. It didn't seem right.
No, it's a bad loadout. You're absolutely right. You don't have the fire rod, which you're looking for to help you, because you only have the Master Sword. It's a play nobody wants to make.
Yeah, and the other 2 swords behind that fire rod too.
Yeah. And speaking of swords being in inopportune location, finding that Master Sword in the right side of Palace of Darkness.
I was trying to not go up the mountain more than I had to, and I think I ended up going in there like 5 times, despite my best efforts, because I couldn't find... I knew the mirror was up there the whole time, and I couldn't find the Master Sword, and I wanted to go back up there later with the mitts and look. I was really hoping the sword was in the Hookshot Cave.
Yeah, and it just was not giving you a break, that's for sure. Good Ganon's Tower, and you did have the ferry from the Spike Cave check, but you did a really nice job there after getting some early trolls through the gauntlet of maintaining your composure and getting through.
I wasn't too worried about much at that point with a backup ferry and the gold sword.
Yeah. Well, what are your thoughts going into game 2? You're going to have to come from behind. Does your mindset change, or do you go into that with a similar approach?
Well, my big problem is, I think this is like the 10th game in a row, I was saying in chat there, where I've the last place I look is what I'm getting. Like, I check everything except the right place. I need to figure out what I'm doing with my routing, because it's something's wrong with it. It's not helping me out much.
Yeah, I mean, those are the most frustrating times, of course, as a rando runner. And I mean, I don't know, Elm, what do you think? I mean, oftentimes it's just because this is a great deal of luck-based kind of stuff.
You know, I've definitely been in that position where I go race after race after race where, like, the last place that I can look is where I think I need is, and like, it definitely, like, makes you feel like you really need to reevaluate what you're doing. And I think that is true to an extent. Like, it's not like there's luck involved, of course, but if you're hitting the last place every time, then there is maybe, like, something you need to figure out.
And this one I couldn't believe that I checked. I must have checked like 15 overworld locations before I finally gave up and went to Ice Palace. I couldn't believe none of them were right.
No, and I mean, there was nothing wrong with those checks, of course. And that's the thing, is that, yeah, Walter was telling us before you finished up, you know, he made the Ice Palace play because he felt behind. So for him, it was making a play. At the same time, you know, you guys throughout the entire race were still checking overworld locations that the other hadn't checked. So that effectively was also making a play, you know? So what's the right answer? Well, just whatever the seed decides that time. I mean, that's just sometimes how it goes.
Sometimes I flip my plan completely, like I just do the opposite of what I think, and then it's wrong. It hurts.
Yeah, that is the pain of rando. Well, guys, you gave us a good race, and pretty early on, up until you reconverged in Swamp Palace, you gave us something unique to watch on each side. So certainly the crowd always appreciates that. Divergent routing, and really it just came down to that final ice play. Up till then, you know, a relatively even race, even though the gap opened up because of the sequence break early. It closed as more and more locations got checked, so it was a good race. You have nothing to be disappointed in out with the result itself. So, you guys, thoughts going forward for game 2? When are you scheduled for that, or are you?
Friday.
Friday. Okay. So we'll be looking forward to that. And yeah, any thoughts on the game itself?
I probably should get some bomb practice in before then, because I think that was the one thing I really actually screwed up on execution, was almost failing that. That would have been awful. And then I lost all my bombs anyway, so it still kind of hurt a little bit, but I didn't feel too bad about it.
Well, you did get a really trolly rat down there, but you're right. You hadn't left yourself much margin for error either. So, yeah, I mean, that's good. That's something to focus on going forward. Walter, you got anything to add?
Not really. Thanks for the commentary and the tracking, and yeah, I need to take some breath. I need to relax a bit more for the next race, I think.
Fair enough. Well, all right, guys. I guess that just about wraps us up. Elm, do you want to take us home?
Yeah, sure. So, if you enjoyed what you saw today, don't forget to follow our runners. And of course, thanks to our tracker Dixon as well for keeping us updated on what items were collected.
Did a great job.
Okay, so going on right now on Speed Gaming 2, about 45 minutes in or so, is Call Blah Blah versus Super Nintailer. And starting right now on Speed Gaming 3 is Samurai Man versus Gamer Cow. We also have the Bloodborne tournament on Speed Gaming 4. And don't forget to follow the ALTTP Randomizer channels as well, 1 through 4, because many of our matches are broadcast there as well. And if you're interested in other games that Speed Gaming is putting on, there's going to be a Celeste tournament starting soon, I believe.
Yeah.
We've got lots of stuff going on, so follow Speed Gaming 1 through 6 as well.
And if you're just feeling lazy, stick around here, and we're going to start back up again with some more rando, Xerox versus Arius 13 at the bottom of the hour. So just about everything you could ever want right here on the Speed Gaming channels.
Yep. So I've been Elminster, joined by Justin Z. Thank you for commentating me. It was really fun.
It was great. Thanks for joining me and saving me from having to go this on. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, no problem. And have a good day, everyone.
So long, everybody.
And thanks for all the fish.